Director of Agriculture at College. Here to show you how to make a self-wicking planter that helps you conserve water. And if you are living in an apartment or living in a small property, these are amazing to grow fruits and vegetables in. And I've actually had quite a bit of success here at the farm. I'm on vacation this week, so I thought I would take some time to recreate the video and walk y'all through how to do these. I do want to talk about the program. In November, SAC-COC approved College offering an Associate of Applied Science in Agriculture. The official name is Urban Sustainable Agriculture, and included in that we have 2 Level 1 certificates. The first certificate, which is, we have students enrolled in the program right now, is the Sustainable Agriculture Certificate. And then the second certificate, which will be available this fall, 2021, is the Controlled Environment Agriculture Certificate. Those classes are going to be more focused on greenhouse crop production and greenhouse management. We're going to be looking at aquaponics and things like self-wicking planters. All right, so let me show you guys how to make one of these. So typically, I like to recycle what I can. These are left over from cattle protein tubs. Typically, farmers, ranchers will put these out for their cattle. It's a molasses base. They're very heavy duty, they're very durable, and they tend to be able to handle sunlight a little bit better than other plastics. So it's a great way to recycle. The other thing that we like to use, I prefer the perforated drain tile like this. These are the ones that actually have the holes when you purchase it. These I had to actually put the holes in it. So be careful when you go buy some of these. Those work, but you can also use milk jugs. You can use several of these in the bottom, or you can use plastic coffee containers. And I'm going to show you all how to make one in a 5-gallon bucket in a few minutes. Alright, so the first thing we need to do, typically when you create a planter like this, most people immediately want to go put holes in the bottom because they, plants need drainage. Well, the mistake with that is that all the water drains out, and I have found in these hot Texas summers that I'm having to water twice a day, in the morning and at night, and I really don't have time to do that. So with these self-wicking containers, last summer when I built mine, I literally watered probably 6 times from April until September, and conserved quite a bit of water. Alright, so the first thing we want to do with the drain tile, we want to make sure that we're going to drill 1 hole on the side so that if we get a heavy rain or we overwater, we're not completely just holding water in the container. And so what we want to do is we want to get an approximation of where this drain tile is, where it's going to set in the bottom of this container. And we want to drill a 3/4 inch or a 1 inch hole just below the top of that. And so I can take my drain tile on the outside and I can estimate where my hole needs to go. And I have a 3/4 inch paddle bit on my cordless drill. And as simple as that, I now have my hole in my container. The next thing I want to do is I want to take my drain tile and I want to lay them in the bottom. The pretty cool part about these is you can accordion them down and make more fit. And so typically what happens is you now have a reservoir in the bottom of your container where dirt is not going to just pack in, and that holds water for your plants. Okay, the next step, I typically use a 4x4 piece of landscape fabric, and what I will do is I'm going to line the container with the landscape fabric, And if you need to use like clips or big binder clips to hold this, that's a great idea. I've actually done that in the past. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your potting mix and you're going to fill up this container to about 1 inch from the top. Okay. I like any organic raised bed mix. This is one that I really like to use, and I get it at a local nursery out by the farm. And he cuts me a deal when I buy 20 or more, so that's always great. All right, so you put your soil in. You're going to plant your seeds or plant your plants. I don't do well with seedlings because I tend to not have as much time to transplant them. So I like to buy either a 4-pack or a 6-pack of vegetable plants and just transplant those into these self-wicking tubs. And at that point, then you're going to go ahead and water. And you can use an organic fertilizer. This is just one I have. I have several varieties. These were actually given to me as a sample about a year ago. And just take a handful, sprinkle it on top of your potting mix, and then what you're going to do is water that in. Now, other videos show a PVC pipe that you place on the outside of this. What I have found is that once I have my soil in here and I can trim my landscape fabric so that it's not flapping on the outside, I can actually just put my hose right here in between the tub and the landscape fabric, and I can water, and that just saves you from having to buy PVC pipe to add to this. All right, so that is your self-wicking tub when you're using one of the larger tubs. Okay, we're going to set that aside. All right, 5-gallon buckets. Everybody has these or has access to these. Okay, these are left over from the food industry. These are heavier duty, they're food grade. They're not as susceptible to breaking down with UV radiation. And any plastic coffee container or plastic container about this size or a milk jug, we can use those in a 5-gallon bucket. So if you have very limited space or you want to have a bigger variety, you have some of these buckets available. They're great to use, and you don't need the landscaping fabric. So what we're going to do is, you'll notice that I already have a hole pre-drilled on this one. Okay, it's about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch hole, and I measured it using the Maxwell House coffee container. And if you look, the hole is drilled just below where the top of the coffee container is. This becomes my water reservoir. I have small holes that I've pre-drilled into this container. I have some on the bottom, I have some on the sides. So what's going to happen is, because they're small enough, the soil is not going to travel into this container, so therefore I don't need the landscape material. Set that at the bottom. We're going to add our potting mix, we're going to plant our plants, we're going to add fertilizer, and then we're going to water. The advantage of this, again, is that you do not have to water as often, and when the water gets to a certain level, it's going to drain out the hole in the side, but in the warm months, it's going to hold on to that water reservoir. Now you might be asking why it's important to have the drain hole slightly below the top of your storage container on the inside. Well, that's because you need a little air pocket. You're going to need an air pocket in there so that you aren't pruning the roots. Typically plants don't like their roots sitting in water 24/7. And this just gives some oxygen to those roots so the plants can do much better. So the first one I made, hole was in the wrong place, lost the plants, had to go back and drill one further down. All right, so that's how you make a self-wicking container. Some of the questions that were asked in the original Zoom video, when to add water. As soon as you add your soil and you add your plants, go ahead and water liberally. One of the other questions was, this time of year, where would you go to find information on what to plant and what zone we're in for for ideal crops this time of year. I would strongly suggest going to the Texas A&M Aggie Horticulture website, or you can go to Texas AgriLife, and there are several publications that are free. You can also contact your Texas AgriLife agent for advice on what you need to be doing. This time of year, we're getting a little bit late now that it's March for planting onions and potatoes. I had planted some of mine before the freeze, and the onions are doing great. The potatoes that I did not cut, if I planted them whole, they ended up not making it. They're very squishy. But the ones I had actually cut and let them scale over and then planted are doing fine. They've got roots and they've got shoots coming out, even after it was -2 degrees. So take your time, be careful, and like I said, if you have any questions, you can email me at agstudies@collin.edu or athornton@collin.edu. Love to visit with you. If you have any interest in the program, we are getting ready to run some more information sessions for summer and fall. If you'll go to the academics page on collin.edu, and I'll actually put the website, when I'm editing the video, I'll give you the website to go to for the department. But if you'd like to RSVP and attend one of the info sessions, we'd be happy to visit with you and help you decide if this is the right program for you. Thanks.